Your words have shape, vibration, and destiny, and your body listens. Since the dawn of time, sages have intuited what science is only beginning to confirm. Every cell in your body responds to the power of your thoughts, and even more, to the sacred language of prayer. This text is not just an intellectual journey, it's an inner activation. Inspired by the groundbreaking principles of Dr. Joseph Murphy, a pioneer in the power of the subconscious mind, here you will uncover a forgotten truth. Prayer is not pleading, it is biological programming. Your blood, your organs, your cells obey. Through these spoken pages, you'll be guided into a new dimension of awareness, where your voice becomes medicine and your thoughts shape the invisible structure of your being. You'll learn how conscious prayer, applied with intention and faith, can reprogram inherited patterns, heal tissues, and align your body with the divine mind. Prepare to enter the most sacred sanctuary, your biology turned into a temple, where faith is no longer blind but precise, where each cell becomes a disciple, where you are the creator and your blood the creation. The transformation begins now. Welcome to Obedient Cells, the prayer that shapes your blood. This book has been written for you, yes you, who have at some point felt that your body holds secrets you have not yet learned to read. For you who have sensed, perhaps without knowing how, that every organ listens, every cell responds, every tissue vibrates with an invisible, profound language. You have sought health, yes, but more than that, you have sought understanding. It is not enough for you to simply heal. Do you want to know why you got sick? What law did you ignore? What truth did you forget? And beyond that, you long to awaken the power that still belongs to you, sleeping in the marrow of your bones and in the light of your thoughts. The purpose of these pages is not to teach you one more technique, nor to give you formulas devoid of meaning. It is to guide you step by step to recognize that within you lies a guiding center, an organizing consciousness that needs no intermediaries, no external rituals, no permission from any authority. Your mind is equipped to speak with your glands. Your faith can move your lymphocytes. Your words can command your endocrine system. This is not magic, it is law. And where there is law, there is possibility. This book is for you who have come to understand that your health is not separate from your spiritual life, nor is your financial well-being separate from your physical harmony. That your DNA is not a fixed biological sentence, but an instrument awaiting the right melody. That your body is not a prison, but an ally. That your symptoms are not punishments, but messages. And that the voice capable of reorganizing everything already lives within you. By the time you reach the end of this book, you will not be the same, because you will have learned to name your organs as allies, to speak with your tissues as with siblings, to bless your scars as sacred portals. And above all, you will have remembered that every cell in your body awaits your word as a holy decree, and you will have learned to speak to them with authority, with love, and with truth. The secret language of your cells, based on the teachings of Joseph Murphy. We've noticed that over 80% of those who visit our channel are not subscribed. You can support this project by clicking the subscribe button and liking the video. Thank you for inspiring us to continue creating more and better content for you. Are you ready to transform your life? Chapter 1, The Word That Shapes the Atom. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. John 1:1. These words, echoing from the sacred dawn of time, are not a poetic allegory. They are a literal description of the creative principle operating in every cell of your body. Everything that exists has been formed, sustained, and set into motion by a primordial vibration. And that vibration is the Word. The atom, the basic unit of matter, is nothing more than a knot of energy vibrating at a specific frequency. But what determines that frequency is not cosmic chance. It is intention, a mental command, an affirmation, a word spoken with consciousness. Your body is not a passive receptacle of biological processes. It is a choir of billions of cells, each equipped with a stunning sensitivity to register the vibratory sound of your thoughts. Every word you speak, whether aloud or in the inner silence of your mind, carries an electromagnetic charge. This charge is detected by the body's bioelectric fields and transmitted as a direct command to the nucleus of your cells, where your DNA resides. The double helix of DNA, discovered by Watson and Crick in 1953, is not merely a chemical structure. It is a symbol of the spiraled logos, a ribbon that stores mental commands imprinted with the invisible ink of your beliefs. DNA is sacred writing. Each strand a phrase, each sequence a sentence. When you repeat an affirmation with faith, you are writing into your genome. You are updating your biology with new instructions for life. Modern science has confirmed that words affect matter. Quantum physics experiments, like those conducted in Soviet laboratories in the 1950s, demonstrated that atoms can reorganize according to induced mental patterns. Particles respond to intention. Electrons obey the command of thought. Matter is nothing but mind made solid. Understand this. Your body is constantly listening to what your mind is saying. Illnesses are not punishments or accidents. They are biological responses to distorted mental commands. Every cell of your liver, your skin, your heart receives messages in the form of words and reacts chemically to them. If you tell your body that it is sick, weak, or old, it will obey. If you tell it that it is strong, healthy, renewed by the infinite power of life, it will regenerate. When you affirm, "I am perfect health," you are not wishing for health. You are commanding your cells to activate specific patterns of proteins, enzymes, hormones, and neurotransmitters that lead to health. The word "I am" functions as a switch that awakens the corresponding genetic archive. Just as a sculptor carves stone with a chisel, you carve your physical reality with the word. Your mouth is a sacred laboratory. Every time you speak, you are programming your immune system, your digestive system, your nervous system. Words of hatred poison the blood. Words of love purify it. That is why Proverbs says, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue." Proverbs 18:21. Think carefully, what kind of words do you speak about yourself each day? Do you say, "I'm tired, I'm getting sick, I can't take this anymore"? Then you are activating DNA segments associated with fatigue, decay, and inflammation. But if you say, "Every cell of my body vibrates with the divine energy of life," you are planting codes of regeneration. Remember, the subconscious does not distinguish between the real and the imagined, between what is said jokingly or seriously. Every word charged with emotion is recorded as a command. That is why speaking with faith is far more powerful than just thinking positively. It is to act directly upon the quantum field that structures your body. It is to govern your biology from within. Let me share a case with you. A man once told me, "I'm fed up with this knee, it's useless." He had undergone 2 surgeries, yet his condition didn't improve. I replied, "You don't need another operation, you need a prayer. Stop cursing that knee and start blessing it." I taught him to repeat, "My knee is the firm axis of my walk. Every cell now responds to the perfect rhythm of the divine spirit." 3 weeks later, his inflammation had vanished. Was it a miracle? No, it was mental law. This is what I want you to understand. Every cell has ears, not physical ones, but vibrational ones. Each cell responds to the vibration of the word, not just any word, but the word charged with intention, emotion, and belief. The body does not respond to external noise, but to the inner voice. It is not enough to say, "I want to be healthy." You must speak with spiritual authority and absolute conviction. As Jesus said, "Whoever says to this mountain, 'Be removed and cast into the sea,' and does not doubt in his heart, it shall be done." Mark 11:23. That is not a metaphor. It is a precise instruction on how to reorder your biology. So I invite you to begin today. Start practicing conscious cellular language. Here is your first formula. Master affirmation for today. Every cell of my body obeys the divine word I pronounce. I decree health, harmony, and abundant life in every tissue, organ, and system. The word of God dwells in me and renews my entire being. Repeat this affirmation upon waking and before sleeping. Speak it with a calm yet firm voice. Let it enter your mind like a seed that will bear fruit. Do not worry about immediate results. Your task is to plant, to water, to care with love. The harvest will come by law. Always remember, your word is law for your mind, and your mind is the invisible architect of your body. Use your word with wisdom and reverence. Speak to your cells as you would to faithful workers. They build what you command. And if you speak with love, they will obey with miracles. In the next chapter, we will enter the secret library that dwells deep within your structure. DNA is the living archive of the subconscious. Prepare to discover that you not only inherit genes, but also dormant possibilities, awaiting the command of your word to awaken. Chapter 2. DNA, the hidden library of the subconscious. Within every cell of your body lies a structure so perfectly designed, so extraordinarily coded, that its very existence discredits any theory of chance as the ruling force behind life. This structure is called DNA, and it contains not only the information necessary to build your physical body, but also the full reflection of your spiritual, mental, and emotional history. DNA is not merely a sequence of nucleotides, it is a living library, a multidimensional archive that responds to the voice of your subconscious and to the images your imagination is capable of projecting. Contemporary science has only just begun to skim its first pages, but what the microscope cannot detect, the conscious mind can invoke. DNA functions like a holographic archive, meaning that each part contains the whole. Every cell in your body has full access to all the information of your being. And this access is not limited to the physical. It includes your latent spiritual potential, your connection to the collective unconscious, and the non-material records of your life's purpose. Those who have studied metaphysics know of the Akashic records, a term used to describe the vibrational storehouse of all human experiences, thoughts, and soul possibilities. Well, your DNA is the biological antenna that tunes into that archive. It is not a closed book bound by the laws of heredity. It is a living, open, reconfigurable system that responds to the language of focused thought. Imagination is the key that unlocks its code. Imagine a vast library where each shelf represents a genetic possibility, radiant health, divine longevity, brilliant creativity, deep intuition. If you never access those shelves, it's as if they don't exist. But when you project a clear mental image charged with emotion, your subconscious activates the corresponding gene. Not because you manipulate DNA like a molecular engineer, but because your mind accesses the vibrational plane where that code is organized. Thomas Troward once wrote, "Imagination is the invisible matrix of form." And Neville Goddard, with his unmatched clarity, taught, "What you assume to be true in your imagination will become your experience." This is not superficial management. It is a deep process of genetic activation through the mind. The subconscious, upon receiving the image as real, instructs your physiology to align with that vision. The body does not debate, it obeys. Let me share a revealing case. Nobel Prize-winning Dr. Alexis Carrel reported incidents of spontaneous healing that defied all clinical explanation. One case involved a woman with advanced bone tuberculosis, admitted to Lourdes. Skeptical physicians observed how, after an experience of prayer and intense spiritual visualization, the destroyed tissues began to regenerate. Carrel, while refraining from spiritual conclusions, documented the phenomenon. What external observers missed was what happened within her, a profound shift in internal imagery. She saw herself healed, and that vision impressed a new pattern upon her DNA. This leads us to a transformative truth. DNA is not destiny, it is a program. And you are the programmer. You do not need a laboratory to activate dormant zones. You need conscious prayer, focused imagination, and consistent repetition. Your subconscious mind is the operator that executes the commands you choose to plant. Here is a specific prayer to begin that activation process. Genetic activation prayer. The infinite spirit now activates within me all genetic segments aligned with perfect health, divine longevity, and full creativity. My DNA responds to light. Each strand, each code, each cell awakens to its highest function. I visualize my body as the perfect temple of the spirit, radiant, strong, and renewed. So it is, and so it shall be. This prayer must be spoken with full concentration, ideally in a state of deep relaxation, before sleep or upon awakening. These moments place the mind at the threshold of the theta state, where access to the subconscious is most direct. Repeat it for 21 consecutive days. Do it as one who opens a sacred, sealed book each night, because that is exactly what you're doing. Many ask, can a prayer really change my genetics? The answer is simple. A prayer is not a wish, it is a vibrational command. When spoken from faith and intense visualization, it leaves an electromagnetic imprint on the cellular field. Proteins, the executors of DNA, alter their expression in response to their biochemical environment. And that environment can be changed by your thoughts. Just as a negative emotion can make you sick, a luminous image can heal you. Never forget this truth. The cell hears your soul, but it only understands the language of conviction. If you doubt, the message is diluted. If you believe, the message is engraved. Repetition is the chisel that carves new circuits into your genome. Doing it once is not enough. Consistency is the key. Let's return to the analogy of the Akashic records. Just as a medium accesses past lives, you can access your dormant potentials. You do not need to channel external entities. You only need to channel your own higher self. Your subconscious is in constant contact with Source. When you pray with imagination, you are not creating something that doesn't exist. You are awakening a possibility already written in your inner library. Let me give you a preview. In later chapters, we will explore how this genetic activation can extend to tissue regeneration, disease prevention, and the unleashing of extraordinary abilities. But for now, it is enough for you to understand this. Your DNA is not finished. It is waiting for your command, and if you don't give it, others will, your fears, inherited beliefs, or the external voices that program you from the outside. But if you claim your inner authority, then your cells will obey the voice of the Spirit. And you will begin to read a book that has been sealed since your birth. The living book of your health, your potential, your destiny. The key is in your hands, and that key is imagination sustained by faith. Chapter 3, Organs that Listen. Traditional medicine has taught for centuries that the organs of the human body respond to chemical and electrical stimuli, contracting or expanding according to physiological reactions controlled by the central nervous system. While that description is useful, it is incomplete. It lacks an essential dimension, the vibrational one. For each organ in your body is also a receiver of subtle frequencies, a living antenna that captures not only biochemical signals, but also the messages of your mind, expressed in words, images, and emotions. Your body is an auditorium, and your thoughts are the conductor of the orchestra. There exists a hidden law, known since antiquity and passed down through the Hermetic schools, called the principle of vibration. According to this principle, nothing rests. Everything moves, everything vibrates. This vibration is not a mystical metaphor. It is a physical reality. And since organs are made of atoms and cells, they too vibrate. But what is rarely taught is that each organ has a specific resonant frequency, and that this frequency can be activated or altered by the human word. At the beginning of the 20th century, the pioneers of the New Thought movement began to systematize precise correspondences between words, emotions, and bodily organs. Charles Fillmore, founder of the Unity School of Christianity, believed that every part of the physical body is the reflection of a spiritual idea. The heart, for example, responds to the thought of love, the liver to anger, the lungs to freedom, the kidneys to fear. This spiritual cartography of the body is not arbitrary. It is grounded in clinical observation and metaphysical experience. In the 1940s and 50s, Soviet engineer Semyon Kirlian documented an astonishing phenomenon. Every living tissue emits an electromagnetic field that changes according to the emotional state of the person. His high-frequency photography experiments showed that emotions, and by extension words, alter the bioresonance of organs. This confirmed what spiritual traditions had always known: the body listens. But not all organs respond to the same words. There is a theory, we'll call it the theory of specific response, which states that each organ understands a particular language, a verbal frequency of its own. When you speak a word, you don't just hear it with your ears. You emit it inward, into your bodily system. And if that word matches the resonant frequency of a specific organ, that organ reacts, like a string vibrating in perfect harmony. Let me give you an example. A woman once came to my practice suffering from chronic liver pain with no clear medical explanation. As we spoke, I noticed she frequently used expressions like, "It fills me with rage, I can't digest this, it's tearing me up inside." Her language revealed a pattern of repressed anger. I offered her a simple daily practice, to repeat each morning for 20 minutes the following affirmation: "My liver is filled with peace, bathed in the light of forgiveness, and flows with divine harmony." Within 3 weeks, her symptoms vanished. It wasn't a miracle, it was directed vibrational reprogramming. Just as the liver responds to peace, the heart harmonizes with love, the lungs with freedom, the thyroid with expression, the stomach with trust, the kidneys with safety. Each of these systems receives what it needs, as if it were a native language, and if it doesn't receive it, it suffers. But when it hears what it longs for, it expands, balances, and regenerates. That's why I want to share with you now a simple but powerful technique. Let's call it the organic mantra technique. It consists of selecting a mantra word that aligns with the vibrational need of a specific organ and repeating it in a state of deep relaxation to tune that organ to its ideal frequency. This technique is based on three principles: repetition, emotion, and visualization. Here is a basic chart of correspondences. Organ, mantra word, harmonizing emotion. Heart, love and compassion. Liver, peace, forgiveness. Lungs, freedom and trust. Kidneys, safety, stability. Stomach, confidence, faith in life's process. Thyroid, expression, self-assertion. Intestines, release, detachment. Brain, light, clarity. Each morning upon waking, sit in silence. Choose the organ you want to work with. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and begin to repeat the corresponding mantra word, silently or in a soft voice. Visualize that organ bathed in gentle light, vibrating in perfect harmony. Let the word resonate within you as if chiseling a new biological melody. Do this for 10 minutes. If done consistently, you will begin to notice tangible changes: reduction of pain, increased energy, emotional clarity. Remember, you are not engaging in suggestion. You are communicating with your organs in their native language. You are reconnecting your awareness to the energy centers that govern your physiology. Your word, when spoken with intention, acts as a tuner that adjusts the strings of your biology. This is scientific prayer, a word that vibrates with purpose. But let me offer a warning: if you use words of complaint, guilt, or resentment, you are sending toxic signals to your organs. They will still obey, but with destructive results. The heart does not distinguish between an insult directed at another and one directed at itself. It interprets all harsh speech as a signal to react. That's why Proverbs tells us, "A joyful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones." Proverbs 17:22. Your body does not get sick by itself. It falls ill when you unknowingly poison it with discordant words. But you can also heal it if you provide the right vibrational nourishment. And that nourishment begins in your mouth, in every word you choose to speak. In the next chapter, we will explore how the word, when sustained by faith, can alter the body's chemistry, its hormones, enzymes, and neurotransmitters. You will see that the mind not only directs form but also function through an invisible alchemy known to the wise for ages and only now being rediscovered by science. Chapter 4. The Chemistry of Belief. There is a hidden laboratory within you, more precise than any scientific facility and more powerful than the arsenal of any pharmacy. That laboratory is called the mind, and its reactions depend not on external chemicals but on internal beliefs. Every thought you hold with conviction, every image you embrace with faith, triggers a biochemical reaction in your body. Just as a medication can alter your hormone levels, your faith can do the same. Without pharmaceutical intermediaries, this isn't spiritual rhetoric, it's a law proven by science. In the 1950s, the Journal of the American Medical Association began publishing studies on an intriguing phenomenon, the placebo effect. Doctors administered pills with no active ingredients to patients who believed they were receiving real treatment. The results were astonishing. Not all, but a significant proportion improved, enough to force a re-evaluation of the mind-body connection. How could a neutral substance cause real pain relief, reduce inflammation, even reverse severe symptoms? The only possible explanation was that the body responded to belief, not substance. If the patient's mind was convinced healing was taking place, then the body obeyed and began to produce internally what was needed for that healing. Hormones like dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, even cortisol and adrenaline regulation responded not to the pill's chemistry, but to the chemistry of belief. This phenomenon, confirmed by hundreds of studies since, dismantled the mechanistic view of the body as an autonomous machine and placed faith at the center of physiology. But this, dear reader, is not new. Jesus had already stated it clearly. Your faith has made you well. Mark 5:34. He did not say, my power has healed you, or the medicine has healed you, but your faith, because faith is not a religious emotion. It is a mental force that alters the substance of the body. It is an active agent, a vibrational command that triggers the secretion of specific chemicals from the endocrine glands to the whole organism. In my ministry at the Church of Divine Science in Los Angeles, I witnessed countless cases where people, without conventional medical treatment, achieved complete healing through the application of mental and spiritual principles. One such case was a man with chronic hypertension. He had tried multiple medications, all with side effects. I taught him a simple affirmation to repeat 3 times a day. My blood pressure is the perfect measure of divine balance within me. Each beat of my heart vibrates in harmony with the peace of God. In 6 weeks, his pressure stabilized, without drugs. How did it happen? Through an endocrine reaction triggered by a sustained, repeated belief. The pituitary gland, thyroid, adrenals, pancreas, these centers all respond to mental stimuli. If you believe you are under threat, the body releases cortisol and adrenaline. If you believe you are at peace, it releases oxytocin and endorphins. The endocrine system doesn't distinguish between real and imagined threats, and it responds just as powerfully to internal images of well-being. This leads us to an inevitable conclusion. You can design your internal pharmacy. You do not need external drugs to activate your immune system or your vital energy. You need precise affirmations loaded with intention, repeated regularly. I call these high-voltage affirmations, phrases that don't merely express desire, but command biochemical transformation from the soul's center. Here are a few of them, specifically designed to balance the endocrine system. For the thyroid metabolism and expression, my words are clear, calm, and powerful. My thyroid vibrates in perfect rhythm with divine order. For the adrenal glands, energy, and stress, I am safe, protected, and strong. My adrenal glands produce only what is needed in perfect peace. For the pancreas, sugar, and satisfaction, the sweetness of life flows through me. My pancreas responds to my joy, and my body finds balance. For the pituitary gland, general harmonization, my whole body obeys the wisdom of the divine mind. Every cell acts in perfect symphony. These affirmations are not magic, they are neuro-instructions. When repeated with intention, they create new neural connections, modify your internal biochemistry, and re-educate your body. You're not self-suggesting, you're issuing physiological commands from a higher level of consciousness. One memorable case was a woman suffering from severe hormonal imbalance, with intense fatigue, insomnia, and anxiety. I asked her to record a simple affirmation in her own voice. The glandular system of my body is an instrument of balance and energy. Life flows through me in perfect rhythm. I instructed her to listen to it every night before sleep. Within 2 months, lab tests showed normalized hormone levels. The recording became her medicine. The body responds to the inner voice. Faith is its catalyst, and the spoken word is its activator. Do not wait to fall ill before using these tools. Start today. Your pineal gland does not need an MRI. It needs you to speak to it from the center of your faith. Your immune system doesn't require costly supplements. It needs thoughts of wholeness, words of life, and sustained images of vitality. Remember, the mind creates the mold, the body pours the substance, and that mold can be of disease or of health, according to the substance of your belief. In the next chapter, we will explore a critical moment for this process of regeneration, the nocturnal state. For it is in sleep, when the conscious mind rests, that the subconscious can act with greater freedom. And there, the repeated prayer before sleep becomes deep, silent, and effective medicine. Chapter 5. The Nocturnal Cellular Dialogue. There exists a threshold between wakefulness and sleep where judgment is suspended. The doors of the subconscious open, and the mind becomes fertile soil for every mental seed planted in it. This threshold is called the hypnagogic state, and it is precisely there where the most powerful, most transformative, and most silently effective dialogue with the cells of the body is established. Most people waste that moment with thoughts of worry, to-do lists, or mental reviews of the day's mistakes. But those who understand the mental law know that it is in that instant where health, regeneration, and physiological peace can be sown. The pioneering studies of Nathaniel Kleitman and William Demant, founders of modern sleep research, showed that the human body enters clearly defined phases during rest: REM cycles, brainwave patterns, nocturnal hormone secretion. All of this demonstrates a biological intelligence that operates without conscious intervention. But what they didn't study, because their paradigm was physiological, not spiritual, is that this fertile ground of sleep is highly susceptible to prior suggestion. What you think before sleeping is what your subconscious will carry out during the night. It is the silent command your body will follow as a sacred mandate. This is where Z programming comes in. Brainwaves in the Z state, ranging from 4 to 7 Hz, occur just before entering deep sleep. In this moment, the critical filter of the conscious mind shuts down, and the subconscious accepts what it receives without resistance. Every thought, image, or word received in that state becomes a direct command to the body's inner workshop, and the cells that never sleep begin to act. It's not about sleeping to escape the day, but about entering the night as one enters a temple. The human body performs tasks of cellular repair, liver detoxification, neurochemical reorganization, and tissue regeneration during sleep. But if you don't give it a clear directive before sleeping, it will work blindly, according to old patterns. If instead you speak to it with clarity, with a prayer, an affirmation, a visualization, then your body receives new blueprints, specific orders, elevated frequencies. Psalm 91, one of the most powerful in the Old Testament, is not just a hymn of protection. It is a nocturnal mantra designed for the soul to fall asleep in a state of absolute trust. You shall not fear the terror of the night, nor the arrow that flies by day, for he will command his angels concerning you, to guard you in all your ways. This is not merely poetic promise, it is a vibrational formula. When you repeat this psalm before sleeping, you activate a field of psychophysiological safety. The parasympathetic nervous system is activated, cortisol is reduced, the heart calms, and restorative sleep is promoted. Emile Coué, the great pioneer of autosuggestion, taught that repeating simple phrases just before sleep was the secret to changing deeply rooted habits. His famous formula, "Every day in every way I'm getting better and better," is an affirmation that, repeated in a relaxed state, reconfigures the nervous system and acts on metabolism. But we can go further, adapting such formulas to the specific needs of our organs, tissues, and biological systems. Let me propose a complete nightly routine that we will call the Nocturnal Cellular Dialogue. This routine has 3 steps: relaxation, repetition, and visualization. Do it every night without interruption for 21 days. Then evaluate the changes, not just in your sleep, but in your energy upon waking, your digestion, your mood, even your skin. Step 1. Progressive relaxation. Lie down in silence, close your eyes, and slowly bring your attention through your entire body from feet to head. As you pass through each area, repeat mentally, "I release, I rest, I surrender." This slows mental activity and allows entry into the Z state. Step 2. Gentle repetition. Choose a specific affirmation for the area of the body you want to regenerate. For example, for the immune system. Every white cell in my body is an agent of light. My immune system responds with wisdom, strength, and precision. Repeat the affirmation 12 times, softly or mentally, not with effort, but with reverence. Step 3. Symbolic visualization. Imagine the area of the body in question wrapped in warm, golden, pulsating light. You don't need a precise medical image. It's enough to feel a vibration of order and harmony. Visualize the cells regenerating, the tissues restoring, your whole body resting in peace. Many ask, but if I fall asleep halfway through, does it still work? Yes, because the subconscious doesn't sleep. In fact, it prefers you to sleep so it can act without interference. In my pastoral experience, a woman suffering from chronic fatigue and sleep disorders achieved a remarkable recovery using only this routine. I suggested she repeat nightly. The vital energy of the spirit flows through me while I sleep. My cells are nourished. My organs are restored. I sleep in peace and awaken in strength. 3 weeks later, not only was she sleeping deeply, but she was waking without the need for stimulants. Never underestimate the power of the simple. The body is an obedient servant, but it needs clear directives, and the best time to give them is just before sleep. The conscious mind closes the day, but the subconscious mind opens the night, and what is planted in the night is harvested in the day. Just as you set an alarm to wake up, set an affirmation to reprogram. Because while you sleep, your soul speaks to your cells, and if you give it words of health, they will know what to build. In the next chapter, we'll explore an even deeper topic, the memory of the body. Because scars are not only physical, some tissues remember old wounds, and they can only be healed by rewriting that memory with new images, new words, and new faith. Chapter 6. Rewriting Scars and Tissue Memory. Every wound leaves a mark, not only on the skin, not only in the muscles or bones, but in the subtle field of bodily consciousness that records and stores every impact, every face, every pain, every story. What we call a scar is not just a formation of collagen that seals a physical injury. It is also an inscription in the memory of the tissues, a kind of vibrational archive that retains the emotion, the thought, and the context associated with the trauma. Just as the mind remembers words and scenes, the body remembers cuts, fractures, burns, and tension. And these memories are not erased by time, but by a conscious act of reprogramming. Wilder Penfield, Canadian neurosurgeon and pioneer in brain research, demonstrated in his studies that certain areas of the cortex, when electrically stimulated, evoked specific memories, not only visual or auditory but also somatic, smells, tastes, physical sensations. Penfield discovered that the body holds memory, not abstract memory but embodied experience. This memory is not limited to the nervous system. It is distributed throughout the cells, especially those involved in healing, fibroblasts, keratinocytes, myofibrils. Scars are the way the body archives trauma. The tissue closes, but it does so with a different density, with an altered molecular organization. The collagen that forms a scar is not the same as the original tissue. It is more rigid, less vascularized, less elastic. And often that difference is not only structural but energetic. Where there is a scar, there is a frozen story, a trapped emotion, an unconscious command to protect, to avoid repeating, to resist. But if the trauma was accompanied by fear, anger, or rejection, that emotion was also recorded. And unless that imprint is rewritten, the body will continue operating from the past. Hans Selye, endocrinologist and father of the concept of stress, demonstrated that the body responds to trauma not only with inflammation or pain, but with a complete reconfiguration of the hormonal system. Sustained stress weakens healing processes. Chronic cortisol prevents proper tissue regeneration. The wound, then, doesn't just heal poorly. It becomes a point of chronic distortion in the body's energetic field. That's why some people experience pain in old surgical sites, even though medically healed. What hurts is not the flesh, but the memory left untransmuted. Here is where conscious mind, directed prayer, and creative visualization become tools for cellular re-imprinting. When you pray, not to ask, but to command from spiritual truth, you are impressing a new frequency upon that tissue. You are speaking to the cellular matrix of the collagen, to the invisible architecture of the epithelium, and commanding a vibrational reconfiguration. It doesn't matter whether the scar is months or years old. When the cell receives a new pattern, it can reorganize because every structure can be altered when its generating field is touched. Let me share with you a real case. A woman from my congregation had suffered a severe burn on her forearm. Though the skin had closed, the area remained hardened, sensitive, and discolored in a reddish-brown tone. Beyond the physical appearance, she felt shame, fear of touch, and a visceral rejection of that part of her body. I taught her a practice that involved gently placing her fingers on the area while repeating, "This skin now obeys the perfect model of spirit. I bless this part of me. I accept it. I illuminate it. I renew it." She accompanied the prayer with a simple visualization, imagining white light descending like warm rain over the skin, penetrating into the deep layers, regenerating from within. The practice lasted 5 minutes each night. In 20 days, the texture had changed. In 6 weeks, the pigmentation had lightened. By 3 months, not only was the skin softer, but she felt pride in the once rejected area. A transmutation had occurred, not just physical, but spiritual. This brings us to an essential principle. The skin is an organ of communication, not separation. It is the border between the self and the world, and it holds, like a silent diary, everything you've experienced through contact. Caresses, blows, rejections, embraces, burns, surgeries. Each epithelial cell is also a neuron in potential, recording data, storing history, and every word you speak to it can become a new entry in that diary. It can erase, it can rewrite, it can illuminate. Now I want to give you a specific prayer formula to reprogram scars, whether recent or old. Tissue renewal prayer. Every cell of this tissue now remembers the divine pattern. Every collagen fiber aligns with the perfection of spirit. This skin is new, soft, radiant, alive. I release all memory of pain. I allow love to imprint its form. I am restoration. Repeat this prayer by placing your hand over the area, not with anxiety or expectation, but with serene faith. Do it in silence as one waters a plant. Do it each night for 40 days. Observe without judgment. Give thanks without demanding. The body responds more to consistency than to impulse. Remember, scars are not flaws. They are portals, points where consciousness can enter to heal, where the past can be redeemed, where the mind can intervene with light. You don't need plastic surgery to erase a wound. You need spiritual surgery, where the word is the scalpel and faith is the anesthetic. In the next chapter, we'll talk about the immune system, not as a passive shield, but as an intelligent army that responds to the soul's commands. Because your lymphocytes also listen to your decrees, and when you move them with wisdom, they can conquer not only viruses, but every form of internal discord. Chapter 7. Immune System, Guardians of Truth. In the vast and silent inner field that is your body, there exists a perpetual guard that never sleeps, a force both organized and precise, patrolling each cell, each tissue, each particle with infallible discipline. This army is known as the immune system, but it is not a mechanical collection of white blood cells reacting to biochemical stimuli. It is, in truth, a form of cellular consciousness, a distributed intelligence, an extension of your subconscious mind expressed through lymphocytes, macrophages, interferons, and antibodies. Most importantly, this system obeys your inner voice. Modern immunology. Since the studies of Frank Macfarlane Burnett in 1957 and his clonal selection theory, it has been known that the body distinguishes self from non-self through an incredibly complex system of molecular signals. According to Burnett, lymphocytes possess specific receptors that recognize antigens, and once activated, they replicate to form an army tailored to the threat. But what science has yet to openly acknowledge is that the activation of this system is deeply influenced by the subject's mental state. Numerous subsequent studies, often overlooked by the dominant paradigm, have shown that emotions such as joy, gratitude, and trust raise levels of salivary immunoglobulin and blood lymphocytes, while fear, guilt, and hopelessness weaken immune defenses. This means the emotional voice, expressed through sustained thoughts, mental imagery, and spoken words, modulates immunological activity. And if that voice is conscious, focused, and directed, then the immune system responds with surgical precision. This is where the biblical metaphor of the shield of faith gains physiological dimension. In the letter to the Ephesians, we are told, "Take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one." Ephesians 6:16. This is not a mystical allegory. It is an exact description of the vibrational field of protection that is activated when someone believes, affirms, visualizes, and prays from a deep level of being. Faith is not a passive belief. It is an electromagnetic shield that strengthens immune response, blocks dissonant frequencies, and prevents the entry of pathogenic forms, both physical and psychic. Your immune system does not only fight viruses and bacteria, it also combats toxic thoughts, inherited mental programs, and repressed emotions that have become chronic inflammatory hotspots. When you declare with faith, "I am protected by divine intelligence," each cell knows its function and performs it perfectly. You are activating a field that organizes your internal defenses, not through synthetic chemistry, but through vibrational language, because your lymphocytes understand the vibration of truth. Let me illustrate with a real case. A young man diagnosed with mild immunodeficiency, suffering from constant fatigue, chronic colds, and recurring infections, began practicing a formula I suggested. Each morning upon waking, he would say, "My defenses are legions of light. Each white blood cell is a warrior of love guided by divine wisdom. I am wrapped in a mantle of perfect protection." He combined this with rhythmic breathing and visualization of light surrounding his bone marrow. In less than 3 months, his lab results improved. But more importantly, he no longer felt vulnerable. Yogananda taught that breathing is not just a gas exchange, but a bridge between the physical and the subtle. His technique of rhythmic breathing, inhaling for 6 seconds, holding for 12, and exhaling for 6, not only oxygenates cells, but activates what he called the ether vital, an energetic current that charges cells with pranic strength. When you combine rhythmic breathing with mental affirmations, you are issuing commands to the immune field. You are charging your lymphocytes with intention, and they, like faithful soldiers, obey. Here's a simple, practical immune-strengthening routine you can do each morning upon waking. Step 1. Rhythmic breathing 6-12-6. Do 5 cycles with eyes closed, focusing your attention on the center of your chest. Visualize a white sphere of light expanding with each exhale. Step 2, directed affirmation. Repeat 3 times aloud or silently. My immune system is the perfect expression of divine order. Each protective cell acts with wisdom, strength, and love. Step 3, symbolic visualization. Imagine your lymphocytes as radiant lights flowing through your bloodstream, identifying and neutralizing all that is discordant. You don't need anatomical knowledge, just feel the order, the cleansing, the action. Many ask, but what if I'm already sick? It works just the same, in fact, especially then, because the immune system can be reactivated from the very center of consciousness. You are not battling an enemy. You are awakening a sleeping legion awaiting your call. The book of Psalms says, "Commit your way to the Lord, trust in him and he will act." Psalm 37:5. This is not a call to passivity, but a guide to entrust the higher field of consciousness with the activation of your own inner forces. The Spirit does not work alone, it works through your cells, and your cells obey your voice. In the next chapter, we will explore the internal orchestra that directs all these functions, the endocrine system. We will see how each gland sings a specific note, and how your words can tune that choir to produce health, balance, and clarity. Chapter 8. The endocrine choir. If the human body were a symphony, the endocrine system would be its invisible string section, essential, ever tuning the overall tone of life. Each gland is an instrument, each hormone a note, each secretion a vibrational pulse that harmonizes thought, emotion, and physiology. And just as an orchestra responds to its conductor, these glands respond to thought, more precisely, to rhythm, to tone, and to the spoken word. Science acknowledges the endocrine system as a regulator of vital functions: metabolism, growth, sleep, stress response, desire, lactation, among others. But what is not taught in medical schools, because it still lies beyond mechanistic logic, is that these glands possess specific resonance, and that resonance can be activated or thrown off by verbal, auditory, and mental stimuli. Words do more than stir emotion. They modulate. In 1958, Aaron Lerner was the first to isolate melatonin, a hormone secreted by the pineal gland. His discovery revealed that this small structure at the center of the brain was responsible for regulating sleep-wake cycles and responded directly to light and darkness. But those who have studied ancient traditions know that the pineal is more than a biological clock. It is a spiritual eye, the gland of intuition, of inner time, of access to subtle dimensions, and as such, it responds to sacred frequencies like harmonic chanting, sustained tones, and especially to words spoken with intention. Each endocrine gland has a corresponding frequency word. The pineal responds to light, the pituitary to order, the thyroid to expression, and the adrenals to peace. When these words are repeated in a steady rhythm, accompanied by breath and visualization, they not only affect the central nervous system, but induce a profound harmonization of the inner chemistry. In ancient liturgy, particularly Gregorian chant, monks would intone phrases with sustained rhythm for hours. They did not do this for musical aesthetics, but for physiological effect. The resonance of those sustained, unaccompanied notes induced states of cardiac coherence, cerebral oxygenation, and endocrine balance. The human voice, when rhythmic and conscious, becomes medicine, not because it is magical, but because it is vibrational. Now imagine your endocrine system as a choir, the pineal as the soprano, the pituitary as the alto, the thyroid as the mezzo-soprano, the adrenals as the bass. Each has a note, a frequency, a function. If one goes out of tune due to stress, repetitive thoughts, or repressed emotions, the entire choir loses balance. But if you act as the conscious conductor, you can restore harmony through rhythmic autosuggestion. This method consists of repeating a specific phrase to the rhythm of a metronome. You may use a real one, or simply set the pace with your breath, or a gentle tapping to induce a state of focused coherence. Within a few minutes, the entire body enters a state of harmony. Heart rate stabilizes, breathing deepens, and the glands begin to secrete in balance. Here is a concrete practice to perform each morning, which we'll call the endocrine symphony. It lasts 12 minutes, divided into 4 segments of 3 minutes each. Segment 1, pineal gland. Keyword light. Sitting in silence with eyes closed, repeat in a low voice to a slow metronome beat. My pineal gland radiates divine light. I see with clarity. I rest in the wisdom of the Spirit. Visualize a white sphere of light in the center of your head. Segment 2, Pituitary Gland. Keyword, order. My pituitary gland commands with perfect order. Every function in my body obeys divine balance. Visualize a violet point organizing and directing every system. Segment 3, Thyroid Gland. Keyword, expression. My thyroid vibrates with freedom. I express my truth with love, confidence, and peace. Visualize a blue spiral at the base of your neck, rotating in harmony. Segment 4, Adrenal Glands. Keyword, peace. My adrenal glands respond to the calm of the spirit. I act from inner peace. Visualize a warm red light in the lower back region, stable and deep. This exercise may be performed with soft background music, preferably without lyrics, or even in silence. The key lies in rhythmic repetition, precise visualization, and sustained faith. It is not a matter of believing it will work. It is a matter of commanding from the depths that it must be so. Remember, glands do not think, but they listen. They are receptive structures designed to detect internal signals. You are the transmitter, and the quality of your signals determines the quality of your hormones, and thus your energy, mood, and capacity to respond to life. In the next chapter, we will explore how this internal harmony translates into external prosperity. Because health and abundance are not separate events, they are distinct manifestations of the same central vibration. You will learn how to attune your genetic field to the frequency of wealth, vitality, and full expression. Chapter 9. Spiritual Genetics of Physical Prosperity. The idea that health and wealth are separate domains belongs to the old dualistic paradigm. That fragmented thinking which divides body from soul, matter from spirit, the physical from the mental. But spiritual truth, proven both through inner experience and observable evidence, reveals that health and wealth are distinct manifestations of a single root vibration. Whoever possesses a mind attuned to abundance inevitably manifests a vital body, and whoever cultivates a healthy body naturally radiates an energy that attracts financial well-being, harmonious relationships, and expansive life. This vibrational unity is explained by the principle of correspondence. As within, so without. This is not a poetic metaphor. It is a universal law. Thought emits a frequency. That frequency conditions biology, and biology, through its vibratory tone, sends a signal to the environment that determines opportunities, resources, and outcomes. That is why, in studying cases of longevity in various cultures after World War II, a common pattern emerged. Communities with a greater perception of subjective well-being not only had better physical health, but also more material prosperity. Not by chance, but because both dimensions were expressions of the same internal state. The teachings I shared in The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, 1963, already anticipated this truth. There I showed how mental images held with faith become tangible external realities. But in this chapter, we go further. We affirm that your DNA contains latent prosperity codes that can be activated through directed thought. For genetics, though structured by inheritance, is dynamic, alive, plastic, and it responds to the vibrational information it receives from your mind, your environment, and your beliefs. When you think in terms of lack, you emit biochemical signals that reduce the production of certain neurotransmitters, weaken immune response, and alter endocrine secretion. But when you think in terms of fullness, gratitude, and expansion, your body responds by activating metabolic pathways of regeneration, optimal nutrient absorption, and favorable gene expression. This is not esoteric theory. It is epigenetics in action. The mind doesn't change the sequence of your DNA, but it does decide which genes are activated and which are not. And just as you can activate genes of health, you can also awaken genes of prosperity, because abundance does not come from the outside. It emerges from within. It is a form of energy which, when cultivated internally, expresses externally as resources, contacts, opportunities, and yes, even money. Jesus taught this clearly in the parable of the talents, Matthew 25:14-30. There, the servant who multiplies what he receives is blessed with more. But the one who buries his talent, out of fear or false humility, loses even what he has. This is not a story about economics. It is a lesson about vibration. The talent represents your capacity to produce, to expand, to manifest. And if you hide it, if you deny your creative power, you not only fail to grow, you fall out of alignment with the universal law of expansion. Likewise, the barren fig tree that bears no fruit is cursed. Matthew 21:19. Not because God punishes, but because nature itself rejects internal sterility. A sick body and an empty bank account are often symptoms of the same blockage. A mind that has stopped receiving, stopped giving thanks, stopped radiating. It is necessary then to begin thinking in terms of the spiritual genetics of physical prosperity. This means accepting that every cell in your body contains a vibrational archive that can be activated through words, images, and emotions. It is not enough to desire. You must declare. It is not enough to imagine. You must decree. Here I offer you a series of affirmations to attract not only health but also nutrients, vitality, and abundance. 1. Cellular nutrition affirmation. Every cell in my body receives exactly what it needs. I absorb all nutrients with divine intelligence. My digestion, my blood, and my tissues cooperate in perfect synergy. 2. Pranic energy affirmation. I am energy in motion. Each breath charges me with vitality. I emit strength. I receive strength. I am strength. 3. Physical prosperity affirmation. Spiritual gold flows through my veins. Wealth is my natural state. My glands, my skin, and my brain vibrate with prosperity. 4. Total abundance affirmation. I'm surrounded by opportunities. Life sustains me with generosity. Everything I need comes to me without effort or delay. These affirmations should be spoken with a clear voice, inward gaze, and elevated emotional state. You may accompany them with gentle body movement, conscious breathing, or music tuned to 432 Hz, which facilitates cellular resonance. An elderly woman without resources and with weakened health began this practice for 40 days. She didn't change her diet or her environment, but she did change her inner vibration. Within a few weeks, she began receiving calls, invitations, unexpected help. Her health improved, her skin rejuvenated, and her financial life, without external intervention, began to reorganize. Because when the internal field changes, everything changes. Prosperity is not an event, it is a frequency, and that frequency is not outside you, it is written in your spiritual DNA. It is only waiting for your conscious activation. In the next and final chapter, we will synthesize these teachings into a practical liturgy, a daily, adaptable, experiential routine that will help you sustain this living dialogue with your cells, your organs, your energy, and your destiny. Chapter 10. Personal Liturgy of Daily Renewal. Every authentic transformation demands a method, a practice, a concrete way to bring the spiritual into the physical, the mental into the cellular, the invisible into the tangible. The human body is a rhythmic structure. Its heart beats regularly. Its lungs follow a pattern. Its hormones are secreted in cycles. And likewise, the mind, when aligned with this rhythm, becomes the harmonic conductor of this internal orchestra. It's not enough to think well once or to pray sporadically. It is repetition that imprints. It is consistency that rewrites. That is why the personal liturgy I propose here is not a collection of random tips, but a discipline of conscious renewal designed to be lived every day, at every phase of the day, and in every circumstance. I call this practice a liturgy, not for its religious connotation, but for its sacred and ordered nature. Just as Ernest Holmes's scientific prayer establishes a sequence, recognition, unification, declaration, acceptance, gratitude, we will apply this principle to biological regeneration, establishing a morning routine, an evening practice, and a crisis protocol. These three phases compose a spiritual triad that stabilizes the mind, reorganizes physiology, and seals the day in high vibration. Morning routine, igniting the system. Upon waking, the mind is in a state of heightened receptivity. Brain waves are still crossing the alpha threshold, and the body awaits instructions. This is where you must plant the first seed of the day. Do not touch your phone, do not read the news. Direct your attention to your body like a farmer inspecting their field. Step 1. Activation breathing. 3 minutes. Inhale counting 4, hold 4, exhale 4, hold 4. Do it silently with eyes closed. This box breathing stabilizes the autonomic nervous system. Step 2. Vitalization affirmations, 5 minutes. Select 3 specific affirmations based on your needs for the day. For example, my lungs absorb light and oxygen with divine perfection. Every cell of my skin radiates health and beauty. Today I am order, joy, and regeneration. Repeat each affirmation 10 times with steady rhythm. Step 3. Visualization of the day. 2 minutes. Imagine your body as a waking city. Each organ is a street, each cell a light turning on. Visualize order, movement, cleansing, and life. Evening practice, seal of rest. At day's end, the body needs release. The mind must clear residues. Physiology begins its repair phase. This is not a time to activate, but to surrender. Step 1. Body scan. 5 minutes. Lie down or sit comfortably. Mentally scan your body from feet to head, giving thanks to each part. Do not analyze, just recognize and give thanks. Step 2. Prayer of release. 3 minutes. Example, all that I do not need dissolves. All that I have experienced finds its place. I rest in the intelligence of my body. Step 3. Night programming. 2 minutes. Choose a key affirmation and repeat it softly as you drift into sleep. For example, during the night, every cell receives the divine instruction for total repair. You can record it in your own voice and play it quietly as you sleep. Remember, the subconscious never sleeps. Crisis protocol, reorienting amid the storm. In moments of pain, fear, acute illness, or emotional turmoil, it is essential to have an emergency formula. Do not improvise. Have it written, ready, and internalized. Step 1. Physical stop. 1 minute. If possible, sit down. If not, pause for a moment. Place one hand on your heart. Step 2. Core affirmation. 2 minutes. Use a brief phrase with high vibrational density. Example, I am center, I am clarity, I am strength. Repeat it in rhythm with your breath. If necessary, write it down 3 times by hand. Step 3. Visual refocus. 2 minutes. Close your eyes and visualize a golden spiral spinning clockwise from the center of your chest. Do not fight the symptom. Order its transformation. Creating your own formulas. It is essential to learn how to craft your own specific formulas for your organs, your cells, your patterns. Do not copy phrases without processing them. Your subconscious responds better to language familiar to you. Use words that connect you, that evoke clear images. The ideal formula has 3 characteristics. Affirmative present tense, no futures or conditionals. Incorrect, I will heal. Correct, I am being healed right now. High vibrational tone, use words of life, not struggle. Incorrect, I no longer have pain. Correct, I feel relief and freedom throughout my body. Symbolic imagery, integrate sensory metaphors. Example, each cell is a spark that ignites my inner vitality. Physiological gratitude journal. To measure your progress and deepen your connection with your body, keep a journal where you record daily. What affirmation did you use? What physical changes did you notice? Energy, digestion, mood? What thoughts emerged during the practice? What gratitude did you feel for some part of your body? You don't need to write extensively. 2 or 3 lines per night are enough. Over time, you will see patterns, revelations, and evidence of transformation. Writing is a way to materialize consciousness. And don't forget the Pauline recommendation. Pray without ceasing. 1 Thessalonians 5:17. This doesn't mean to recite endlessly, but to live in a prayerful state, in connection, in guidance, in elevated vibration. Do not separate mind from body nor word from organ. In every inhale there is a prayer. In every cell, a temple. This liturgy is not a burden, it is an art. It is the most direct, concrete, and effective way to live embodied spirituality. Because you did not come into this world to suffer the body, but to use it as an instrument of revelation. Now that you know the secret language of your cells, use it. Command from faith, affirm from vision, declare from love, and every day you will see your body transform into the visible field of an intelligence that was never asleep. It was only waiting for your call. This volume ends here, but your practice is just beginning.